night, yeah. Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong. You got me like, oh yeah. I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong.
So welcome to the 7th installment of Introducing, and today we'll be introducing FPX, who of course from EMEA and finished as the EMEA runners-up this time. Now in Masters 1, of course, they did finish as the EMEA champions, but could not go to Iceland due to a various number of issues, to be honest. And that is why their expectation this time is also 3 question marks, because we again don't know if the whole team will be able to go to Copenhagen either. This is because they have 2 Russian players who might not be able to get visas. Angel, you can see on the screen there, is from Ukraine, so it's not sure if he'll be able to leave the country either. And so we essentially know that FPX have signed 3 subs, so they basically have 8 players, as it were. And obviously we don't know how good those subs will perform if they are needed to. So we don't know how good FPX will be. To be honest, it's a very difficult kind of thing to make. I will be talking as if the whole team can go, because that's the only thing I've seen play. So we'll be talking about that. But obviously it's very difficult to kind of understand who will be there, who won't be there, and what that will mean for the team. Their style in general, though, is a counter-strat style. What that means is they kind of don't really have their own identity. They just want to play whatever they think will work against you. They'll pick maps that they think you're bad on. They're willing to play all of the 7 maps in the pool, and they'll just pick whatever they think will work against you in particular, which is a very different kind of interesting style, to not have your own style, but just play to your opponent. And as I've put at the bottom there, a lot of course will depend on who can go. We saw with Fnatic as well last time at Masters Reykjavik that having subs, you know, come in on short notice, they're not going to know all of your playbook. They're not going to know the culture of the team and how the team should work, and, you know, how much are they going to input to things as well, right? They might feel a bit like, oh, can I really say this or whatnot? So of course having subs is going to be a big detriment to them, and so we just have to hope that all the players can attend. In terms of their members, we of course have Angel, who is the experienced IGL from Ukraine. There's Sugetsu, who is mostly their kind of sentinel player, as you can see. You have Zipan, who's, well, I mean, a lot of the FPX players, to be honest, if you look at these roles, they aren't necessarily like fully fixed into one role. There is a lot of mixing and matching, as you can see. Sugetsu is pretty much the one who plays sentinels, but other than that, Zipan plays Raze, Sova, or KO. Xiao plays Astra, but then plays a lot of Initiate as well, but also Jet if they want a Jet. And Ardis is their main chamber player, but also plays KO and Sova when they need, and Doombros is their coach. And when we look at their stats, obviously Angel, it doesn't look great. I did wonder though about this cast number, because it is quite low. I do wonder how much playing Yoru is putting into that, because Angel plays a lot more Yoru than really probably anyone else in the world, to be honest. And I do wonder how often is he just teleporting into like 3 people, and that's why, you know, there is no trade available, you know, and he's just dying. I do wonder how often that is the case, and what, you know, is that where this number is really coming from? And it's very possible that is leaning into it. Sugetsu has been on an absolute tear. I mean, obviously a KD playing like these agents as well. Very high cast, very high ACS, extremely high KD, right? He's been on an absolute tear, and it'll be a big miss if he can't go. Zipan, this team used to be called Zipan Go Kill, because he can just pop off at any moment. And then Xiao and Ardis are both excellent players in their own right as well. Particularly Xiao with some of his utility is very, very strong, and Ardis obviously being the chamber player, you would expect to see him near the top of the ACS. When it comes to how FPX play, and we look at some of the advantages they can have over teams, one massive advantage that they have in a lot of games is that they don't mind playing very weird comps and playing stuff that you've never seen before, and they get advantages from that, as we will see in some of these clips. So let's take a look at the game that they played against Guild in the lower final of EMEA, and let's start with their Fracture comp, right? Because they're playing no Brim and instead an Omen and no Breach either, right? So quite a weird comp, and this is what FPX will do on a lot of different maps, and they'll change comps very regularly as well, so that you can never never really know what they're going to play. They're going to throw stuff at you that you've never seen before, and that can be a big problem for teams like it is here for Guild in round 7, where FPX are on the defensive side. You can see we're going to get a battle for this A main position, right? Where we get an Omen Flash in there, we get the Raise Nade, we get Breach Stun, we get all of this stuff coming out to keep them back. But then Angel's going to do this, okay? Which is this one way. And again, if you haven't played against an Omen on this map a lot, it can cause you real problems that one way, and you need a good answer to how to deal with it. But Guild never really had one in this map, and so they just got stuck behind this one way for a long time, and not having any presence in A main. You can see how pushed up Angel is. This Viper Orb is doing absolutely nothing because he has so much control. But then we're about to see it happen again, where Guild are actually going to come back towards this B site. As you can kind of see, they're going to flash Artist off this angle here, and then they're going to Astra ult in and start to come in onto this B site, as you will see. So the Astra wall starts to go up there. They start to come in onto the site. Nade, breach Aftershock in there, but then Shao throws this Fade Horn. And again, Fade is not a super common pick on Fracture either. And again, you're going to see that Guild just get completely unstuck by just a couple bits of utility, but that they've never seen before, right? Because that Fade Haunt lands on top here, and then panic ensues, right? Everyone starts turning. Sugetsu even gets sucked here by the Astra Suck, but he's just able to spam. Artist comes through the wall as well, and Guild get absolutely mopped up in this round because basically become just a bit of panic from a bit of utility, right? Russ is able to get that kill, but he's down on 2 health after this, so he gets to spam. He's going to die to just a right click of the Classic, and then Coldamentor's left on his own, and he dies as well. This is a big reason why FPX can dominate games sometimes, because if you just aren't used to what they throw at you, it can cause you a lot of panic. Just little bits of utility can cause you such problems if you don't have answers for them, and that is what FPX can thrive on. And now let's come to round 16 of Haven for another example of this, right? Where their comp, again, on Haven, pretty weird. They're playing a Sage. Their only flash is the Omen Flash. This is something that you just really don't see on Haven these days, but again, they throw stuff at you that you've probably never seen before, and you'll see that. So, starts with this one way here on C-Long, as you can see, but Angel on the Omen has TP'd across to the other side, so he can beat this one way. Send in the Prowler, gets shot by Coldamentor, they push him back, and they're going to find a really nice timing here, just on Russ, who's going to peek past this box just before this smoke comes down. Angel's able to find the shot and gets the kill. But we're going to get a trade back when Trex is going to turn here to Artist and find that kill as well. So we end up in a 4v4, but we're playing a Sage, so we have Sage res. Well, there's going to be a little bit of trivia in here for you as well. I want to see how many of you know the map super well and all of the interactions of this map, because what's going to happen is Angel is going to flash in, he's going to send in the smoke there, they're going to try and get the res off on a pretty safe res, and then eventually what you'll see here is that Trex is going to get his nade out, but Sugetsu's going to come and put a wall in here, and the question I have for you is, can this nade get through this little gap in the wall or not? Answer now if you want, and the answer is, well, no, but a pro player didn't know that either. And so he ends up nading himself there, Trex. And this is what I mean. They throw stuff at you that, you know, you've never seen before. You know, no one's ever, you haven't played against that in so long that you don't know whether there's a gap in the wall or not. And so then what we're going to get is a C-split here where the Fade ult starts to come in. And then they're going to throw a Fade Horn just there on top of the little platform here. Over here, they're going to throw a Fade Horn in here, and again, right, Fade pretty new age, and you know, not everyone plays it on Haven or anything, so again, creates difficulties for you, and so it just pings off, and it just tells them, both of them just keep getting pinged by it, and they don't even try and shoot it, because I don't think they even had the time to know where it was, and so they get 2 kills off that as well. And this is what I mean, they just find advantages from doing weird stuff that no one else does, and they make it work, right? And they get a lot of advantages from it, and eventually this is just actually going to be a save from Safe. Eventually he's just going to save the up as Shao repositions there back towards C-Long. He realizes that no one's here, the time starts ticking down, he realizes he doesn't have time, and he's just going to save the up instead. Really nice round from FPX, and I think again you start to see some of just the weird stuff that they do that you can't really prepare for because you don't know what they're going to play, and they'll just throw something at you that you've never really encountered before. And now let's come to Split, and oh hey look, they're playing Killjoy on Split. I think this in my data was the only Killjoy played in Split across all of the VCT games. across all regions. So that kind of goes to show you how rare that is. But again, they made it work. They won this map very convincingly because that's just kind of what they are, right? So it starts off with, I mean, this is the pistol round of attacking split, and it's absolutely crazy. They have a knife line up there to go on top of the box. Zipan starts entering. They get a Killjoy Nanoswarm line up into there. Angel, right, we have to keep our eye on Angel. So Angel has not passed this point. He's got a line up to get his orb in there from down here as well. And you're going to see he's going to come and play back in Narnia this round. It's absolutely absurd. And this is what I mean. Like, they didn't do this on any of the other maps. You know, they weren't playing just lineups on every other map. But on this, to start off with Split, it's like, you know, oh, here we go. They get the Viper Wall up as well. And they just start playing for time, right? The spike goes down. Guild try and clear this area because they know, okay, it's likely that someone might be in this area. But Angel is super deep, right? So if we watch these guild players, they're going to come clear, and they clear pretty deep overall. But Angel's over here, right? He's way out there. He's so deep in this instance, right? And so they waste a lot of time trying to clear all that to start off with. And then now they have to obviously try and come in onto the site. And you've just got FPX there. They sent flashes out. Zipan managed to get a kill. With the kills start going back and forth, right? But the thing is, you've just got Angel again, just deep in the weeds of this round. And so he starts sending his lineups here as Zipan finally dies. But look at him all the way back here, jumping lineups, and he starts getting the kills, and the time becomes so little. And it's kind of a genius idea, because you know that they're going to have to clear super deep, because, you know, that's kind of how it works in these pro games. You're going to have to clear that area that Guild did, but that's going to waste their time. And they, you know, delay with enough time for the rest of it. The snake bites go down, and Cold Dementor just has to sit there and die. Super weird. And again, they didn't do this on any other map. It's not like there's some of this deep lineup team. It just, they bring out weird stuff every so often, and it works. And another thing I want to talk about is their bonus rounds, because they have a very interesting, weird bonus round strategy. And that is basically generally 2 people on their second round after they've won a pistol. If you have a frenzy or a ghost, they will just keep it and buy full shields, and then that is it, right? And what that means is that if they then win that round, they can then buy a full gun and light shields coming into this third round, which gives them a much higher chance of winning this third round overall, and winning their bonus round, and then going on to dominate the game. And they often do win their bonus rounds as well, because essentially if they lose, they still will have enough again for a gun and light shields, and, you know, go from there. Essentially, it's kind of a bit of an evolution of the NRG strat of realizing that half shields are pretty good overall, and particularly against Vandals, which, you know, a lot of people are playing right now. It's basically the same, right? And so they get a big advantage from that in their bonus rounds, and I think honestly it kind of is the best bonus round strategy. I think they kind of have cracked the code here, FPX, and have a big advantage over other teams that aren't doing it. But in this round, round 15, we're going to see that Guild are eventually going to come into this A site. But again, you have to deal with setups you've never seen before, right? You've got a turret on this box. You've got the alarm bot down here. You've got the nanoswarms that are going to deal a ton of damage. There's, again, some problems that they're going to have as well coming in towards this A site. Again, when was the last time that any of these teams would have played against a Killjoy on Split? Probably not in a very long time, right? The alarm bot goes off. You can see some of the surprise there. That's normally a chamber trap that you can see. And they're going to start to come in onto this site, but FPX have a pretty good idea of what's going on. They shoot the turret. They have a decent setup here with the split attack coming in. But now, just as they've come into the site, you've got these double nanoswarms going off, and they're doing a ton of damage, right? And they do an absolute world of damage. So Getsu manages to get a kill, but then you see Artis as he flashes out. He manages to get Leo. You can see we've got an assist here from both the Astra as well, with a suck in there as well, and from the Killjoy as well. And you get another assist on this Zipan kill onto Trex there as well from the Nanoswarms. These are the kind of things that, again, you just haven't really dealt with. We end up with a flawless bonus round coming out from FPX. A really nice round overall, and on bonus rounds in particular, they are very strong. But now let's come to round 3 for a bit of a bad side of FPX. And I think Angel, perhaps in particular, can sometimes be a bit guilty of this, but so can some of the other teams. I don't think it's FPX's biggest problem. I actually think FPX's biggest problem is when their kind of crazy ideas just don't work. We saw it with Yoru on Icebox, but this sometimes can be a problem for them, right? Where they've taken heavy A main control, right? They've taken heavy control here. They can't hear anything on B. They've got a chamber trap here, and this is the bonus round for Guild. So Guild don't have the great weapons in this round, whereas FPX, as you can see, have the guns, right? They've got the Vandals. Guild have, some Bulldogs, a Sheriff, whatnot. They don't have the guns. But Angel is just going to go pushing, even though he should know really at this point. You know, they've got a control. This Sage and Chamber can't hear anything here. They got the Chamber Trap on B, all is well. He should know that Guild most likely, who are also a team that plays pretty slow a lot of the time, he should know that this is probably what Guild are doing, that the majority of the team is still probably back here, you know, figuring out a plan or whatnot. And so for him to go pushing solo down C long into the unknown, right? He actually dies here to save. But I don't know why he's doing this, right? You're against a bonus. You've got the better guns. You're going to give them a gun by doing this. You're on your own. You know that they probably actually are there, given what's going on the rest of the map. It just didn't really make sense in this issue, and Guild go on to actually win this round. And sometimes they can be a bit guilty of making these kind of mistakes. But also, as I said, their biggest problem, I think, is just when their kind of weird ideas don't really work. When it comes to FPX's map choices, they do like to, you know, play every map, or at least threaten to play every map, but you can see with one particular outlier, maybe they shouldn't. But their Ascent is very strong. I'd say this is definitely their strongest map. They're a very, very good Ascent team in general, and will, you know, probably be favored on Ascent, well, at least if the full 5 squad goes, against almost any team. Their Bind isn't so great. It's probably one of their weaker maps overall. Again, they like to bring out some weird stuff, but yeah, not their strongest map, I wouldn't say. Breeze, however, I think is another good map for them. They play the Yoru on Breeze, which obviously on the attacking side, as you can see, is creating a lot of confusion and is very strong. On the defensive side, they do still struggle with it, but their attack side is very good. Fracture as well, playing the no breach comp. Their defensive side is extremely good, as you can see. And so, yeah, another strong map for them overall. Their Haven is okay. I wouldn't say it's amazing, but it's okay. They make it work at times. But Icebox, as you can see, is a big, big problem for them. And, well, they eventually kind of switched to the G2 comp and found, you know, limited success with it, but they don't seem to have a comp which really fits their players on Icebox, and it definitely seems to be their weakest map. And then the Split is okay as well. As we just saw, they bring out some weird stuff like the Killjoy that can also surprise. And when it comes to their agents, they definitely do have some favorites for that as well. Now, obviously, if the subs do come in, this might change because, you know, some of those sub players might be more comfortable on other stuff, so this could be completely wrong. But the actual 5 main core of the squad are very in on Omen, as you can see. And I think Fnatic were the other team that were in on Omen, but pretty much everyone else has been more of an Astra team that we've looked at so far. So quite interesting. They still like Viper, but Cypher is another one, right, where they're weirdly in on Cypher. Not a lot of teams are, but they are a Cypher team, as you can see, with Sugetsu's Cypher being pretty good, but they still do play a lot of Chamber and some Killjoy as well. But again, in on Sage, big time. They are the Sage team, really. Picking Sage in over half of the games across all maps. We just saw Sage on Haven. And they'll play Sage on really pretty much any map, I think, at this point. They play her on Ascent as well. And yeah, they just love Sage, as you can see. And they also love Yoru. They probably play Yoru more than any other team. They've tried him on Fracture. They tried him on Breeze, on Icebox. Maybe Ascent. Off the top of my head, that might be wrong. But they've definitely played quite a bit of Yoru overall, and they probably will bring some Yoru out, particularly on Breeze. It's looked pretty good, and that means that they're not in on Jet, they're not in on Neon. They do play quite a bit of Raze, but you can see in general the duelist numbers aren't high. They do play quite a few non-duelist comps overall, you know, and then don't play too much duelists. But then when it comes to initiators, oh my god, look at this. They love Fade, they love KO, they hate Breach, they hate Sky, and Sova they'll pick when they feel it's necessary, like on a map like Breeze. But yeah, KO and Fade, they are big on. Sky and Breach, they are not big on. When it comes to their pistol and eco rounds, there isn't anything too crazy overall here. Kind of, you know, like a lot of the other teams that we've taken a look at, you know, where they're kind of just above average for most of it compared to like every team in VCT. But you know, compared to the other teams that are coming to Copenhagen, they're kind of in the middle. There isn't anything too special going on in these rounds. And so that was the introduction to FPX. I hope you enjoyed it, and so that was the introduction to FPX. Obviously, we'll have to see how many of their players can actually attend. I really do hope for their sake that, you know, they can all attend this event and get to Copenhagen, because it would be a shame if, you know, they just end up playing with 3 subs and it's barely even the same team and they just get knocked out straight away. That definitely would be a shame, because this team definitely does have potential.